The arena lights exploded to life with a loud crack, cutting through the thick darkness like knives. Thousands of aliens filled the huge stadium, their voices rising in a wild storm of noise. Some shouted for blood, some for fear, and some only wanted to see a human scream. In the center of this massive arena stood Evan, a young human with dust on his clothes and dry blood on his cheek. He looked small, almost fragile, compared to the giant aliens surrounding him. But Evan's face stayed calm. His hands did not shake. His breathing did not change. He simply stood there, silent like a stone. On the opposite side of the arena, a giant metal gate opened with a deep, angry rumble. The sound echoed like thunder. Heavy footsteps followed, shaking the ground. The crowd screamed with excitement. Out of the gate came General Karkin, the most feared alien warlord of the Garoth Empire. His body was tall, thick, and covered in sharp dark armor. His four glowing eyes locked on Evan with pure hatred. But the thing that made the crowd scream louder was not the warlord. It was the creature walking beside him, a massive beast, twice the size of a lion, crawled on the ground with slow, deadly steps. Its skin looked like rough stone. Its teeth glowed like hot metal. Its eyes were bright, cold, and hungry. Shackles of heavy chains wrapped tightly around its neck and legs, but even those chains looked too small to control it. Aliens whispered in fear. Some hid their faces. Some held their breath. Some prayed. This beast had eaten entire groups of prisoners before. It had never shown mercy. It had never failed. General Karkin raised his hand for silence. The entire arena became still. Then he shouted in a deep, powerful voice that shook the air. "Why aren't you scared, human? My pet waits for one word from me to devour you." The beast growled loudly, its breath hot enough to burn the ground. The chains shook as it pulled forward, desperate to attack. The crowd cheered wildly, excited to see the human break. But Evan did not move. He did not step back. He did not look away. His calm face only made the warlord more angry. Karkin walked closer, his steps heavy and loud. "Look at you," he growled. "Tiny human. Weak body, no claws. No armor, you should be shaking. You should be begging for your life." Evan slowly lifted his head. His eyes were steady, cold, fearless. "Why should I be scared?" he asked softly. The crowd gasped. This was the first human in history to speak calmly in front of the beast. Karkin's eyes glowed brighter. "Because this creature," he said, pulling the chain, "has eaten warriors stronger than you. One word and it will tear you apart." The beast roared again so loud that even the stone walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The ground cracked under its claws. Its mouth opened wide, showing rows of burning teeth, but Evan still did not move. Some aliens murmured, "Is he mad? Does he want to die?" No human can be this calm. The air grew thick with tension. The beast leaned forward, its nose only inches away from Evan's chest, smelling him, testing him. And still no reaction. Evan's heart was steady. His eyes were sharp. His body was relaxed. It was like he had already seen something much worse than this. "Beast." General Karkin finally shouted in frustration. "Answer me, human. Why are you not scared?" For a moment, Evan said nothing. Then he slowly breathed out and whispered words that sent a cold shock through the entire arena. "Because your beast is not the scariest thing I have faced." The crowd went silent. The warlord froze. And the beast suddenly stopped growling. Something was very wrong. Something no one expected. Something the alien empire was not ready for. Evan was hiding a secret, and this was only the beginning. The arena remained silent for several long seconds after Evan spoke. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. Thousands of aliens leaned forward, trying to understand how a simple human could look into the eyes of a monster and speak without fear. "General," Karkin tightened his grip on the beast's chain. His hands, usually steady, were now trembling with anger. This had never happened before. Every prisoner who entered this arena fell to their knees. Some fainted from fear. Some cried and begged. But this human, he stood like nothing could touch him. Karkin stepped closer to Evan, lowering his face until their eyes were only inches apart. "You think bravery will save you?" he growled. "Do you think silence makes you strong?" Evan did not blink. "Silence is better than fear," he said softly. The beast jerked forward, pulling the chains again, trying to reach Evan. It growled, sniffed the air, and spread its huge claws across the ground. Its hot breath rolled over Evan's face. Any human would have fainted. Many aliens would have run. But Evan only watched quietly. Some aliens in the crowd started whispering again. "He is strange. Maybe he is not a normal human. What if he has some hidden power?" The guards around the arena exchanged confused looks. They had captured Evan themselves. He had no armor, no weapon, no implants, no special tech. Just an ordinary human in dirty clothes. Yet something about him felt dangerous calm in a way that frightened even soldiers. General Carcone raised his hand and forced the beast back a step. Then he glared at Evan and said, "I have conquered 12 planets. I have defeated armies. Do you know what my people fear the most?" Evan stayed silent. Karkin's voice turned low. "We fear humans. We fear your past. We fear your history. But you look too normal. Too weak. Too small." He circled Evan slowly like a predator testing prey. "So tell me, human, why do you think you stand so calm in front of death?" Evan finally moved, just a small step to the side, but enough to change everything. He lifted his hand and touched the ground with his fingers. The dirt felt dry, warm, and full of vibration. He whispered, "Because I learned long ago that fear gives your enemy control. And I do not let anyone control me." Karkin stopped walking. The arena reacted with a wave of soft gasps. Evan looked up again, meeting the warlord's glowing eyes. "Your beast is not the first thing that wanted to kill me," he said. "And it will not be the last." For the first time, Karkin felt a strange feeling in his chest, something he had not felt in years. Uncertainty, that the beast tugged its chains again. But suddenly, it paused. Its eyes focused deeper on Evan, as if recognizing something familiar. It made a low sound, not of anger, but confusion. That single sound made the crowd panic. What is happening? Why did the beast stop? Does it know him? Guards raised their weapons, unsure of what to do. General Karkin roared, "Obey me, creature," and yanked the chain hard. The beast growled, but its eyes stayed locked on Evan. Evan's lips curved into a very small smile. Not a happy smile. Not a proud smile. But the smile of someone who understood something everyone else didn't. "I said I am not scared," Evan whispered. "Because your beast knows what I am." Karkin froze, the guards froze, the entire arena froze. "What are you?" Karkin finally asked. Evan stepped forward, not toward Karkin, not toward the guards, but toward the beast. The monster's claws dug deeper into the ground. Its breathing grew faster, but not in anger. In recognition. It tilted its head the way a trained creature reacts to a familiar voice. Evan lifted his hand slowly. The crowd held their breath. The beast, known for tearing warriors apart, leaned forward and sniffed his fingers. And then, it didn't attack. It lowered its head. The entire arena erupted in chaos. "General." Karkin's face twisted in shock and fear. Evan stood calm in the center. A human surrounded by thousands of aliens, and one thought echoed through every mind in the arena. Who is this human? And why does the beast obey him? The arena did not feel like an arena anymore. It felt like a heart that had stopped beating. Every alien inside it stared with wide, stunned eyes as the impossible happened. The most dangerous beast in the Gareth Empire lowered its head in front of a human. General. Karkin's jaw tightened as he watched the creature obey Evan. His red armor glowed brighter, reacting to his rising anger. He had built his power on fear. His entire empire believed the beast listened only to him. But now at this moment, his authority was slipping through his claws. What trick is this? Karkin shouted, his voice shaking the ground. Evan did not look at him. His eyes stayed on the beast, calm and steady. The creature sniffed Evan's hand again, then made a soft sound, something no one in the crowd had ever heard. It was not a growl. It was not a roar. It was almost gentle. Stand back. A guard yelled, pointing a weapon at Evan. Karkin raised his arm sharply. No one moves. His voice was loud, but even he knew it. He was losing control of the situation. The beast slowly stepped toward Evan, dragging its heavy chains behind it. Each clink echoed through the silent arena. Aliens in the front rows backed away, terrified. This beast had broken cages, walls, and bones. Yet now, it approached the human like a loyal creature meeting its master. Stop! Karkin shouted again, but the beast ignored him. For the first time in his long rule, the warlord felt something painful, a deep embarrassment. And worse than that, fear. He stomped closer, trying to regain power. Human, he growled. Whatever trick you are using, it ends now. Evan finally looked at him. His expression wasn't proud or mocking, it was simply calm. Like he was facing a confused child. There is no trick, Evan said. Karkin's four glowing eyes narrowed. Then explain this. Evan placed his hand gently on the beast's head. The arena gasped again. The creature closed its eyes like it felt safe. Evan's voice stayed soft. It knows me. From where? Karkin roared. Evan looked down for a moment, his face shadowed by memories. From a place your empire destroyed long before I was born. A place where beasts like this were made, tested and broken. His eyes lifted again, filled with something much darker than fear. And a place where humans like me survived. A cold shiver spread through the entire arena. The warlord felt the first crack in his pride. He needed to break this human now. Beast! Karkin shouted, pulling the chain with full strength. Attack! The chain went tight. The beast did not move. It didn't even turn. Instead, it leaned harder into Evan's hand. The crowd erupted into chaos. Aliens shouted. Guards panicked. Some screamed warnings. Others tried to run. No one understood how the most dangerous weapon of the Empire had just chosen a human over its master. Karkin's face twisted with rage. His voice cracked when he yelled, "Obey me." He pulled again. Nothing. The beast growled, not at Evan, but at Karkin. The warlord stumbled back, stunned. His own creature, threatening him. Evan stepped forward, his hand still resting on the beast's head. You control it with fear, he said quietly. But creatures like this remember something deeper than orders. And what is that? Karkin snarled. Evan's voice dropped to a whisper. But everyone in the arena heard it. Pain. Karkin froze. So it recognizes someone who survived more pain than it ever did. Evan continued. The warlord felt the ground tilt under his feet. A human, claiming to have endured more suffering than a creature designed for war? Impossible. But the proof was in front of him. The beast, the pride of his empire, had turned away from fear. And now slowly, it stepped closer to Evan, choosing him. The guards raised their weapons again, unsure what to do. Karka and shouted, "Shoot if it tries to escape." But what if it didn't escape? What if it attacked him? The fear in the warlord's voice was clear. For the first time, Evan looked around the arena, feeling thousands of alien eyes watching him. A slow, cold realization filled the air. The warlord wasn't the most powerful being here anymore. The balance had shifted, and everyone knew it. The arena floor felt heavier than before, as if the very ground understood that something impossible was happening. The beast, once a symbol of death and fear, now stood calmly beside Evan, its giant head lowered like a trained guardian. The chains on its neck clinked softly, but they no longer looked like restraints. They looked useless. General Karkin stared at the scene with shaking breath. His reputation, his power, his pride, everything was slipping away in front of thousands of witnesses. He had ruled for years with fear, but now the one thing that gave him power refused to obey him. "What did you do to my creature?" he growled, his voice cracking. Evan didn't look at Karkin. His hand stayed on the beast's rough skin, his fingers running gently over old scars. Deep marks crossed the creature's body, scars from chains, weapons, whips, and experiments. The crowd fell silent again. Evan took a slow breath, and his voice came out calm but heavy with pain. "I didn't do anything today," he said. "But once, long ago, humans like me were locked in the same cages as this beast." A sharp wave of whispers burst across the seats. Karkin's four glowing eyes widened. "Lies," he snapped. "Humans never faced such creatures." Evan's eyes lifted, dark and tired. "Not as enemies," he said. "As experiments." The beast made a soft sound, almost like it remembered. It pressed closer to Evan. Karkin stepped back unconsciously. Evan finally turned toward him, and something changed in the air. His calm expression was no longer calm. It carried weight, like someone who had lived through nightmares others could never imagine. "Your empire wasn't the first to create monsters," Evan said. "My ancestors. They were locked inside labs, forced to survive creatures even worse than this one." The crowd gasped louder. Some aliens looked at Evan with new fear. Some looked at the beast with horror. Some began to understand. Evan continued, his voice steady but filled with truth. "Those beasts smelled our fear. They chased us. They hunted us. But humans learned something in those cages." Karkin forced a laugh. "And what is that?" "How to die slower." Evan shook his head. "How to live." The warlord's laugh died in his throat. Evan went on. "We learned how to understand creatures, how to survive pain, how to see fear, and walk through it. Humans adapted. Humans grew stronger. And the creatures remembered us." He placed his hand under the beast's jaw. The monster leaned into the touch like a loyal dog. "Your beast smells something inside me," Evan said. "Something it recognizes. Something it fears. And respects." The arena felt colder. Some alien shivered. Karkin tried to hide his shaking voice. "This is nonsense. The creature obeys only me." He jerked the chain violently. The beast turned not toward Evan, but toward Karkin. Its lips curled back, revealing rows of hot, glowing teeth. The chains rattled as tension spread through its body. A deep, earth-shaking growl rose from its chest. "Stop!" Karkin yelled, stepping back, but the creature didn't stop. It pulled harder against the chain. One more pull and the links would snap. Evan didn't move. He simply said, "It knows who hurt it. And it sees the difference." "What difference?" Karkin shouted, sweating. Evan whispered, "Humans don't break creatures. We survive with them." The beast roared at Karkin, shaking the entire arena. Guards panicked. Some dropped their weapons. Some ran to the exits. The warlord stumbled backward, his confidence collapsing. Evan placed a firm hand on the beast's head. "Enough," he said softly. And instantly, like magic, the creature stopped. Absolute silence filled the arena. Every alien, every soldier, every guard finally understood. This human was not calm because he was brave. He was calm because he had lived through horrors. That made this alien beast look small. Evan wasn't. Fearless, he was experienced. And that made him far more dangerous than anyone in the Kungtin. Arena, asterisk. For a long moment, the arena did not breathe. Thousands of aliens sat frozen, staring at the sight no one could have imagined. The Empire's deadliest war beast obeying a human's soft command. The chains on its neck dangled loosely, almost embarrassed, as if they no longer served a purpose. General Karkan's mind raced with panic. His armor pulsed red, reacting to the rising fear inside him. He had ruled planets with this creature. He had crushed rebellions. He had made leaders kneel. Yet now, a simple human had undone his power in minutes. This is impossible, Karkan whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. A human cannot control my beast. Evan didn't answer. He kept his hand on the creature's head, feeling the warm breath that no longer smelled like hunger, but like trust. The beast pressed closer to him, its heavy body lowering until it sat beside him in a protective stance. The warlord felt his chest tighten. "Step away from it," he shouted. "That thing belongs to me." Evan slowly shook his head. "No," he said quietly. "It was never yours. It was only afraid of you." The crowd murmured. Some aliens nodded. Some stared with wide eyes. Some felt something dangerous blooming inside their hearts. Hope. Karkan's fury finally exploded. He lifted his war spear and prepared to strike. "I will not be humiliated by a human." Before he could take another step, the beast moved. Its giant body rose like a mountain. Its eyes flashed with fire. With one loud, explosive roar, it stepped in front of Evan, shielding him completely. The entire arena shook. Karkan stumbled backward, shocked. No, this cannot be happening." The beast's growl grew deeper, vibrating the ground. It was a sound that promised death to anyone who dared touch the human behind it. Guards rushed in, weapons ready. "Hold the beast," one shouted, but the creature wasn't looking at the guards. Its eyes were locked on Karkan for the first time. The warlord felt what countless others had felt at his feet. True, helpless fear. Evan spoke again, his voice steady and calm. "Your beast is not angry because of me. It is angry because it remembers." "Remembers what?" Karkan snapped, shaking. Evan ran his fingers gently along the beast's neck, touching one of the oldest scars. "Who hurt it?" he said. "Who beat it? Who treated it like a weapon instead of a living creature?" The crowd fell silent again. The beast growled louder, claws digging into the ground as it glared at its former master. Karkan pointed his spear. "You will obey me or die." The creature didn't flinch. It stepped closer to Karkan. The warlord stepped back again. "Stop!" Karkan shouted, but his voice was no longer strong. It cracked. It weakened. It sounded small. Evan watched carefully, not moving. He didn't tell the beast to attack. He didn't need to. The creature was acting on its own choosing for the first time in its life. Alien guards shouted warnings. Some raised their weapons, but the beast's roar made them freeze. None dared shoot. None dared move. The creature could tear 50 soldiers apart before they even touched their triggers. Evan finally stepped out from behind the beast and looked directly at Karkan. "Do you know what the difference between us is?" he asked quietly. Karkan clenched his jaw. "Humans are weak. That is the difference." Evan shook his head. "No, the real difference is, I showed the beast respect. You showed it pain." Karkan's eyes widened as the words pierced deeper than any spear could. Evan continued, "And creatures just like people never forget who hurt them." The beast growled in agreement. Every alien in the arena felt the shift. For years, Karkan had ruled with fear. Now a human stood beside the beast with calm strength. The beast made its choice, and it chose Evan. The arena was no longer cheering. It was no longer loud. Instead, it was filled with a dangerous silence, a silence that felt heavier than any roar. Dozens of alien guards surrounded the platform, their weapons shaking in their hands. They didn't know whether to shoot, run, or bow. General Karkan had never looked so small. He took another step back, and the beast growled again, louder this time. Its hot breath sent dust swirling across the ground. Every alien watching knew one thing clearly now. The beast was no longer his weapon. Evan stood beside the creature, not hiding behind it, but calmly matching its presence. His expression remained steady, and that calmness frightened Karkan more than any weapon. "Guards!" Karkan shouted suddenly. "Attack the human. Kill him now." But the guards did not move. Some lowered their weapons. Others exchanged confused glances. A few even stepped back from the warlord. They had seen the truth. The human had not forced anything. The beast had chosen on its own. Karkan's eyes widened with rage. "Obey me, I am your general." A young guard swallowed hard. "General, if we attack, the beast will kill us all." Karkan wanted to scream, but even he saw it. The beast was watching every soldier, deciding who was a threat. One wrong step, and it would leap out. Evan finally spoke, his voice calm but strong enough to reach every corner of the arena. "You rule with fear, Karkan. But fear doesn't last forever. One day, everyone stops being scared." The warlord turned toward Evan, his mouth shaking with anger. "Humans, you always talk like you are powerful. But you are nothing." Evan looked at him quietly. "Maybe we are small. Maybe our bodies are weak. But we don't break easily. That is our strength." The beast growled in agreement. Karkan raised his spear, desperate to regain control. "If the guards won't kill you," he hissed, "then I will." He charged forward fast, angry, wild. The crowd screamed. The beast reacted instantly. It jumped between Evan and the warlord, slamming its heavy tail against the ground. The impact threw Karkan backward, rolling him across the arena sand. His spear slipped from his hand, clattering loudly. The crowd gasped again. Karkan struggled to stand, his armor cracked, his pride shattered. "Stay back!" he yelled at the beast, but his voice no longer carried power. Evan watched him with quiet eyes. He did not smile. He did not mock. He simply waited. The beast stepped forward again, claws scraping the floor, its roar echoing through the arena like thunder. Every alien in the stands felt the vibration in their bones. Karkan stumbled, pushing himself up with trembling arms. "No, this is not how it ends," he whispered. Evan finally stepped closer, his presence surprisingly calm. "It ends the way it should," he said. "With truth." Karkan glared at him. "What truth? That humans are monsters?" Evan shook his head. "The truth that creatures don't obey cruelty forever. Your empire built fear, but today, fear breaks." A sudden murmur rose through the crowd. Aliens looked at Evan with something new: respect. Some nodded. Others whispered his name. A few even bowed their heads. Karkan saw it, his people. Shifting. Their loyalty. Shaking. His power. Dying. No. He screamed, "I will not lose to a human." He tried to run toward his fallen spear, but the beast moved faster. Its massive body blocked his path, standing over the weapon like a guardian preventing a crime. Karkan froze, staring into the creature's burning eyes. Evan walked forward until he stood only a few steps away from the warlord. "You built an empire strong enough to crush stars," Evan said softly. "But you forgot something important." Karkan shook, his voice barely a whisper. "What did I forget?" Evan looked around the arena, at the beast, at the guards, at the thousands of aliens watching. Then he answered, "Respect." The crowd erupted into noise, cheers, shouts, cries, and disbelief. For the first time ever, the arena supported a human. The warlord stared at Evan with wide, defeated eyes. and the beast stood firm beside the human, ready to defend him at any cost. The Empire's strongest bond had been broken, and a new one had formed. The arena thundered with noise, cheers, shouts, and the sound of chains dragging across stone. But in the center of the chaos, two figures stood perfectly still. Evan and General Kirkine. One calm, one broken. The beast, towering, scarred, and feared by an entire empire, stood beside Evan like a loyal guardian. Its glowing eyes watched every movement Karkan made, ready to protect the human at any moment. Thousands of aliens filled the seats, but not one of them looked at Karkan anymore. Their eyes were all fixed on Evan, the human who stood without fear. Karkan staggered to his feet, breathing hard, armor cracked, pride bleeding. This cannot be real," he whispered. "A human cannot defeat me." Evan didn't raise a weapon. He didn't lift a fist. He simply stepped closer with steady eyes. "You defeated yourself," Evan said softly. "Fear was your only strength. When fear ended, so did your power." Karkan clenched his fists. "I will rebuild. I will regain control." But even his voice lacked fire now. It sounded weak, empty, lost. The beast growled a low, warning sound. Karkan stumbled back again. All around them, aliens whispered. He faced the beast without shaking. He controlled it without chains. He stood against the general without fear. He is not just a human. He is something more. Several guards slowly removed their helmets and dropped them to the ground. A symbol of surrender. A symbol of change. The arena lights shifted as if the very structure recognized a new leader rising. Evan turned to the crowd. Not raising his hands, not demanding anything, just speaking calmly. "You have followed fear for too long," he said. "You don't need to be ruled like this. Fear breaks you. Respect builds you." The aliens listened, every word sinking deep. "For years," Evan continued, "Karkan used the beast to control you. But the creature was only scared. It never followed him from the heart." The beast lowered its head, agreeing. "And now it chooses freedom," Evan said. At that moment, Karkan exploded with rage. "No, the beast belongs to me." He lunged forward, grabbing a broken metal piece from the ground and raising it like a blade. He charged at Evan with desperate strength. The crowd screamed. Evan didn't move. The beast did. In one powerful motion, the creature leaped between them. Its huge body blocked the blow, its claws digging into the ground to create a wall of muscle and heat. It roared a roar filled with authority and warning. Karkan froze. Staring up at the monster he had once commanded, the creature lowered its head, placing its massive face inches from Karkan's. It growled a sound that shook every bone in the warlord's body. Kark undropped the metal piece. His legs gave out beneath him. He fell to the ground, defeated by his own fear. Evan finally stepped forward and spoke in a quiet voice. "This is the end, Karkan. Not because I am strong, but because you forgot what real strength is." Karkan looked up with empty eyes. "And what is real strength, human?" Evan answered gently, "Facing monsters without becoming one." The arena went silent. Then slowly thousands of aliens rose to their feet. First in shock, then in respect, then in admiration. The cheers began softly. They grew louder. And louder. Until the entire arena shook with one sound. "Human! Human! Human!" The beast lowered itself beside Evan, bowing its giant head as if acknowledging a new leader. Not a king, not a conqueror, but someone who understood pain, courage, and respect better than any warlord ever had. As the arena lights dimmed, one truth became clear. Evan was no ordinary human. He was a survivor, a symbol, a legend. And from that day forward, across the empire and its distant stars, beings whispered his name with awe, the human who stood without fear,